Greetings, friends. Sunday, the 8th of June in the Babylonian false light matrix calendar. And I'm very happy to have dropped anchor here at a pretty shitty little hotel, I have to confess. It's not the nicest spot, but it's after a number of hours driving today, headed to State College in Pennsylvania, where we'll be pulling up tomorrow. The day after, Tuesday, I will be on stage at 3 p.m. till about 7 p.m. So it'll be about a 4-hour turnaround. I think it's going to be a fairly good turnout. And this is the last date on my Revelations tour across the United States, really proselytizing the new earth, proselytizing pure truth and right action and real simple jive like that. In a world best described as an orchestration of Saturnian chaos roundabout now, wherever we turn, whichever cardinal point we're indicating, we are in a spin, and it's a vortex, and it's a flux field, it's a vacuum, it's the 0 point, it's the bullseye, it's the target, it's where the true human is forced into, and by true human, of course, I'm referring to myself and my godly audience looking in, and of course my guests about to come on for this broadcast. But it's about us, and it's about the reckoning that each of us face within the atom seed of self. So if we want to be pulled outside of self into the Putin, Trump, Musk shit show, then that's an option, but it's no more empowering or enlightening than locking yourself in the basement and masturbating, or even worse, doom scrolling TikTok, or even worse, burying your head into Netflix, or even worse, Disney. Don't even start me there. Point being, friends, the reckoning is about the actualization of you and I in the living now, in the geometry of now. And that is the reckoning that is coming fast and furious to all of us, to the whole of humankind. So it's playing out at the fractal level, it's playing out the archetypal level, at the galactic level, and how you and I navigate this flux, this shit show, this orchestration of chaos, and the totems to which we identify and plug our life force, our attention, our plasma, that becomes a very, very significant matter and a very significant question for each of us. Who are you? Who am I? Am I the living witness? Am I standing sentinel directly beneath central sun, where I cast no shadow? Am I standing in pure truth? Am I conducting right action in this veil of tears? Am I seeking remedy? Am I planting things? Am I making things? Am I doing things of consequence, things that echo through the fiction of time? These are the questions which we are needing to ask ourselves, because if we fail to thread our own nature, which is incidentally the camel through the eye of the proverbial needle, is your own nature, is the aspect of yourself that is unresolved. We are all of us having to stand in a circle, friends. This is midsummer is almost upon us in the year 2025. Again, Anno Domini, false light, Babylonian matrix calendar. And the reckoning is upon us. And I'm just waiting for the numbers to come on. I can see they're jumping up, which is good. This is all about a reckoning. This is all about the atonement. This is all about the absolution. This is all about revelation. This is all about redemption. And this is all about salvation. And it will not be coming from out there. It will be coming from within. If you are a true believer, a true man or woman of faith, a true child of God, then you will already know that the song through the soles of your bare feet on the grass, on the soil, on the living earth, is the song that should be garnering your attention, not the false light coming from billboards and magazines and flickering screens. Whatever's out there, government, monotheistic religiosity, adulation, worship and idolatry toward totems and symbols that have been conflated and orchestrated for thousands and thousands of years by the lords of time, by the archonic influences. This is now the end of time. This is where we get to step away entirely and do a triple backward sulco into the abyss, which was ever waiting to receive us as the eternal mother. And that, friends, is what this broadcast is centering on. Countdown to Tanasi, as the Cherokee would have it, in the heartland of Middle America, where I will be joined in a few days' time by a pantheon of tremendous human beings with tremendous life force and a concentrated mission and purpose to leave this world a far greater place than the one they arrived in. And I'm going to introduce, firstly, bestie Laura Eisenhower. Laura, so happy to see you.
So happy to see you, Sasha. So incredibly excited about this event. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's just such a joy to have you and have your blood song with us, Laura. And your blood song is a very uniquely laden one. I mean, not only does it carry the Galactic Symphony, and you do so much in your incredible work in life to unpack and I guess to synthesize for your audience, which is a very considerable audience of good humans all around the world. They are the same people as my people. Our people are the same people. I've learned that years ago with you. So the good human, the new fellowship, the highest currency of this universe, of this galaxy, is really the constituency that we speak with and learn from and communicate to and through. And you do so much to help orchestrate the stillness in the storm. And the work you do is beautiful. And you also carry, of course, tremendous legacy with your name, Eisenhower, from your great-grandfather, and the legacy that carries forth. And it's substantive and it's consequential. I'm also going to bring on friends, Ethan Lucas. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me again.
Well, well, I know exactly how you are because we speak every hour or two, you know. And in the last couple of days, Laura, we've had just the most delightful shit show in the last 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, we are marching on to Tanasi, New Earth, Tennessee. New Earth, Tanasi is, and this is our flag, incidentally. This is ground zero of the Rainbow Warrior Tribe. That is the good human, the fellowship of man that is now coming together, congregating. And we will be enjoining a consecration and proclamation ceremonial event, friends, the New Earth Tanasi sanctuary, which we're building in the heartland of Middle America. It's a symbol, it's a totem of the coming together of the emergence of the Rainbow Warrior Tribe. We're very proud of the undertaking. We're going to be joined by many hereditary leaders and elders from around the world are coming in on the big screen with their prayers and with their blessings. Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr. there will be doing the fire ceremony. His Grace Bishop Rhea of Jerusalem will be helping to lead the prayers. As you can see, Daniel Brinkley over Laura's shoulder and my shoulder will be coming in with the great Chief Eagleman, Standing Eagle. Marsha Willitson, our core trustee and the center of gravity for the New Earth Coalition, a New Earth Nation Coalition, will be there. A proclamation from King Edmund of Hawaii, Chief Sabrina Whitehorse Barnett coming in with the white horses and bringing her Cherokee medicine. Dr. David Martin and Kim Martin coming in with their 12 senses and their extraordinary quantum anchoring. Sky and Anahita, founders of the Regenesis, New Earth Regenesis, life enhancement centers that we're developing out later this year into next year in different parts of the world. Scott McKay and the Patriot Street Fighters, Hopi Elder and Messenger Bertram, Constitutional Sheriff Richard Mack from the Constitutional Sheriff and Police Officers Association will be joining us with other constitutional sheriffs on the ground. And of course, Ethan Lucas, who is, friends, as some of you will know, the project director for new earth, Tanasi. Ethan yesterday had to drive to the town where we have our land in order to meet with members of the assembly who were having a pitchfork circled wagons meeting drummed up by a couple of endemic morons over the last few weeks. We've actually investigated them in the last 24 hours, and we can see the direct line to George Soros. Apparently, it's very interesting, but trying to drum up hysteria and conflate controversy about our project. Jim Jones comes to town, Waco 2.0, you know, the usual kind of, really nasty stuff, Laura, being dreamt up by two individuals. Don't know if you want to name them here, Ethan, but how was the assembly meeting last night?
It was very dark and drab. There was a lot of hysteria and toxic small town hick drama and gossip. And Matthew, what's his last name? Is it Williams?
That would be Williams.
Matthew Williams. I thought about asking him if he needed a job, because the assumption is, the appearance he made is that he did all of this work with the fancy slideshows and the bullet points of all the things he made up. It certainly took a long time. And I'm sitting here going, wow, if this guy's willing to do that much work for free, I can put this guy to work. I've got a lot of stuff that I need done. I didn't ask him, though. I also thought about asking him because I've been thinking about maybe starting a tabloid. He would be a perfect writer for a tabloid, because the ridiculous level of insanity and absurdity that he spewed verbal diarrhea out of his esophagus is beyond belief. It's wild. Like, I didn't even know you could make that much stuff up. It's crazy.
Well, we're taking it forward. We will be moving on to our somewhat expert litigation footing. He's messed with the wrong people and moved into the wrong crosshairs, along with Mr. David Troy, the investigative journalist who came from out of town to also.
Oh, he drove all the way up from Baltimore. He's a DC swamp rat imp. It's very clear if you just read his bio. I actually asked him if he wanted a copy of my Constitution I had in the car, because he seems to be under the impression that America is a democracy rather than a constitutional republic. And of course, he kind of tucked his tail between his legs and scurried off the stage. He didn't want to continue that conversation, because I think he got the sense that I knew a lot more about the Constitution than he did, or that I would easily be able to uncover his nonsensical communist slant that he wants to try to push into a conservative community. It's really odd, actually.
So that apparently, Laura, that's the threat, apparently, which we, the New Earth, who are all about elevation of art, beauty, consciousness, right action, pure truth, and standing in sovereign jurisdiction, we're being flipped into being some aggressive, proactive mob with guns who are going to, move against the federal government and set the town on fire. But like I said, we've discovered who these individuals are who are behind the campaign, and we'll be dealing with them in the appropriate way. But Laura, democracy, whilst we're talking about consecrating the soil, the living soil, on behalf of the children of God, the sons and daughters of God, the living men and women of the living soil, it is a curious thing, is it not, that the word democracy doesn't appear once in the Declaration of Independence, or in the US Constitution, or in the Bill of Rights. So democracy is a modernist, or a kind of postmodernist slant. It's a communist socialist idea of installing a software in order to maintain a perpetual dialectic, so that people can never find their real sovereign jurisdiction as children of God. What are your thoughts about sovereignty in that context, and democracy, Laura?
Whoa, you give me the goosebumps. Yeah, so well put. I mean, this installation that you're talking about is the programming that people are under, the indoctrination, the belief that we won the Second World War without knowing the truer history. And how we have to win the war on consciousness from within. We have to know what took place after the Second World War. The infiltration is enormous. It's infected every pillar of society. So when our children are raised and they're exposed to this, and they're taught that this is what it means, they say the Pledge of Allegiance, they're taught that this is a free country. Well, they're not living in that way at all. when we see these psyops and false flags happen, they don't even recognize that. It's just being baited into this consent, this fear reaction that something outside of them, some kind of authority, is going to give them the answer, which keeps them in this dependency bond with an inverted system that they don't recognize as inverted. That's not sovereignty at all. There's no ability for a lot of people to say to their doctor, to their teacher, to their governments, something's seriously wrong here. My voice is not being heard. We've seen censorship that people are supporting. How can they even think for a moment that this is a democracy in any true sense of the word, when it's all going towards a particular side that's vilifying the ones that are really standing for it? And that frequency is so threatening to them. That signal is so threatening to them because it literally begins to deprogram them and dismantle what is constantly being injected in them, metaphorically and literally. And these continual trigger events and all the different tactics, being used, hook them in even further to be proud of their victimization and polarized by it, to the point where if you're a sovereign being, you're a threat. And it's actually on that side that the outrage and the violence is normalized, but the freedom and the peace and the unity that we hold is weaponized in their mind against us, being the holders and the grid workers and the ones that are helping to bring them home to stand in their own sovereignty, so that we can unite with our differences becoming harmonious instead of a battlefield.
Beautiful. Ethan, what is sovereignty?
Well, it's interesting, and I was actually getting ready to pull it up, that she just brought that up, because I brought this up in that meeting simply because they were bringing it up. They kept making accusations of us being in the standard sovereign citizen movement, which I know what that carries. Their definition of a sovereign citizen is wildly different than the Supreme Court's definition, which was actually given in 1856 in Scott versus Sanford, where the Supreme Court said, and I quote, "The words people of the United States and citizens are synonymous terms and mean the same thing. They are what we familiarly call the sovereign people, and every citizen is one of the sovereign people and a constituent member of this sovereignty." So I think the Supreme Court said it quite well. At the end of the day, I don't care how these patriot mythology people and ignorant rednecks want to try to define sovereign citizen. The Supreme Court has made it clear since the 1850s that all Americans are sovereign. And that was the very point of what happened when our nation was formed in 1776. The crown was removed as the sovereign, and that crown was placed on the heads of each and every individual living man and woman on this land. And the principle of that is this, that all men are created equal, and no one has a right to tell you what to do or how to live your life or how to think. And as long as you go about your business and don't harm, damage, trespass, or injure, then you're good to go. That's what it means to be sovereign. That's precisely what we all are. And it amazes me how many people, law enforcement included, in this country, they talk about being free, but somehow the concept of sovereignty is completely lost on them. They don't understand that they're all sovereign. And I pointed at everyone in that meeting after I quoted that, because there was a gentleman who stood up and he rambled on about the sovereign citizen movement and how apparently we're supposedly part of that. And I know what he's talking about. It's a false definition they've applied to it. And there are crazy people out there. I call them patriot mythology people. They drive around with no driver license, no tags. They do whatever they want. They harm and they damage, they trespass, and they just think they can get away with whatever. That's not a sovereign citizen. That's a fool. That's a selfish idiot running around causing harm, damage, and injury. A sovereign actually understands that we're all sovereign, and that just because we're all sovereign doesn't mean you can do whatever you want without consequences. Since I'm sovereign, Sasha, you're sovereign, Laura, you're sovereign, we're all sovereign. So what one sovereign does to another sovereign still has consequences. You can't just harm, damage, or injure, or trespass. And so knowing that and having that responsibility is exactly what our founders documented very well in the founding documents of this nation leading up to everything. It's clearly stated in the Declaration of Independence. It's clearly stated in all the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers. The stance that our founders had on this was very clear, that everybody puts their pants on the same way. It's the law of zero. I have zero more rights than you. You have zero more rights than me. Guess what that means? That means we're all sovereign, but we still have to act with dignity, respect, and honor.
Right. Very good. Well, we're about to begin the consecration proclamation of a piece of soil in the heartland of Middle America. It's a very hallowed and sacrosanct event that we're undertaking. It's been very, very complex and laborious in a sense to have to galvanize the support from all around the world, which we're doing from Africa, from Asia, from Central South America, from North America, from the Middle East. We are bringing together just a focus onto this extraordinary quanta, which is the relationship between human beings and the sacred soil, creatures of the soil and the soil itself. And that reconvention of that relationship is integral now to the not only the survival of our plane of existence, but really how we engage in the mechanics of ascension, so to speak. Because without that ignition, that recoherence, that reconvention of relationship between the children of God and the living soil, and that's what was disrupted. That's really, whether we're going to go into the Tatar Khazar dialectic, whether we're going to talk about the doctrines of discovery in the last 500 years of satanic intervention of the Catholic Church and the crowns of Europe, conquesting and holocausting all of the black skin, brown skin, red skin, yellow skin people of the world and the white skins, whatever story we're looking at, either way, when you talk about Cronus, time, Zeus, the ancient mythology, the crown, the crowning event, which is the issue of the state. Cronus is time. The state government is what harvests time and motion, and then securitizes, monetizes, and penalizes the living system, whatever the living system is. Could be a fucking radish, could be a human being, could be a squirrel. Everything becomes securitized, monetized, harvested for life force, essentially. That's what government, and the etymology, of course, I remind ignorant people, means mind control. That's the actual etymological meaning of the word government. So do the math. That's deeply disturbing stuff when we have to reckon with the fact that we've been under endemic and systemic, generational, and even civilizational mind control. Now we awaken to that and we begin to take on board what the great Aboriginal and prime Native Indians and Aboriginal peoples of the world have been inviting us and trying to remind us to do whilst we were out there conquesting the world and playing with the element of fire, taking it to the worst possible extent and building a fucking atomic bomb, renting the fabric of time, space, and unleashing all sorts of ungodliness into this temporal veil. Whilst we were doing that, the good Aboriginal peoples, the dream timers, were reminding us that what we dream is what manifests, and the group dreaming is all we should become custodians of how we do wise dreaming. Laura, how do we best begin that integration, that reintegration, and begin this group dreaming after Midsummer's Day 2025?
Oh, and it's such a perfect day for this. And where the nodal axis is, the North Node is in Pisces, ruled by Neptune, which is all about the dreams, the dream, the vision, the mystical realms, the multidimensional, the creative imagination, but also the unconscious. So when we're unconscious, we're operating on autopilot. And that autopilot mentality is very vulnerable to mind control. And so mind control is what the mind talks to the body. And the South Node being Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, the integration of polarity with the Piscean, the Neptune, with the Virgo Mercury is now ready to be purified and cleared, so that the mind is speaking the vision, the dream, the warrior energy of moving through that lower astral, moving through the infection that has taken over the creative imagination and the creative channels of individuals that are enabling artificial timelines and are allowing that energy to be harvested and siphoned because of that lack of sovereignty. Because really, truly, freedom is the freedom to connect to cosmic and natural law, the
Beautiful.
freedom to stand strong with Mother Earth and to recognize the multidimensional nature of Mother Earth, her Stargate system, her planetary grid network that was put in reversals, keeping the mind talking to the body, dis-ease, and all sorts of things that have kept us from being able to thrive as a human race. So this particular spot being so powerful, with the ley lines, the eagle and the condor, and the Atlantean remembrance, the Lumerian aspect of it because of the Turtle Island, the regenerative potential that exists in this gathering. The mindfulness of integrating the dream with the physical is restoring the tree of life, is helping the physical vessel to understand that when we connect with our higher self, our mind talks to the body what the body is capable of doing, which breaks down the frequency fences, turns around the inversions of dark Saturn, and where we have been locked into. Look outside yourself, and your mind will tell your body what the truth is when it's not truth. When the mind is free of that and it accesses the higher self, then all of a sudden we're switching on dormant DNA. We're clearing the planetary grids of the reversal energies. We're becoming conduits, and we're not just witnessing, we're embodying. And it's very different when people are just tourists and they're just walking through. They're on autopilot and they're linked into the signals that keep speaking to the body: dis-ease, aging, and imbalance, mental issues, things that the pharmaceutical industry just wants to pop you a quick fix when it causes more harm than good. So embodying the dream is to be a vessel of ascension, to be that embodiment, that living embodiment. And when that connection is anchored in the physical body, your capacity to manifest and create and rewrite the scripts of the one that we're being thrown is so powerful, because then the mind talks to the body, something that produces a beautiful future that is in alignment with cosmic and natural law and everything that we're reclaiming. And so this is a very, very significant time to break any sort of connection with these inversions. And recognize that once that talk shifts, that's what epigenetics is based on.
Yes.
We write the script of trauma loops and what indoctrination is telling us to think. And we're now harnessing that magician energy to bring the miracle vibration back to the physical plane.
Yay, love it. So the German town of, they call it Bohmte, Bohmte. It's a weird spelling. And there's another town called Nieder Erlenbach. Many, many years ago, they eradicated all traffic laws, rules, regulations, ordinances, and codes. Gone, all of them. No traffic lights, no markings on the road, nothing other than place signs to let you know where you've arrived. And they did this as an experiment. And the curious thing is, there'd been no accidents. None at all. No penalties and no accidents. Wow, talk about third-party intervention and the removal, the scrubbing of third-party intervention. So given, and this is Germanic, mind you, this is like Uber controlling Germany, who was smart enough to do this exercise. Of course, it's not going to catch on and be syndicated around the country because, well, that would fuck up the priest bankers' little enterprise altogether, which is about fleecing humanity. It's about third-party intervention. It's about how much they can penalize, securitize, and monetize our time and motion. So small wonder this hugely successful experiment never gained any traction. But given that extraordinary fact, Ethan, it does beg the question, what does government actually do for us?
Control your mind. It's like you said, it says what it does in the name. Govern is control, and ment, M-E-N-T, is Latin for mind. It does absolutely nothing. It's a middleman that allows for a monopoly on violence, control, ideology, and integrated systems within a society. It's interesting you brought that, the story up of that experiment and what it proved. What I'm seeing as soon as you said that is that it just proves that once people are forced to take personal responsibility, all of a sudden, all the problems disappear, because now people realize, oh, I am responsible for my actions. When you've got a bunch of government signs up everywhere and millions of codes and statutes on the books, there's always a way to pass them the buck. And unconsciously and subconsciously, that's how it works. Once you have it in your head that there's some ominous big daddy figure guiding and controlling everything, and it's all written down and scripted of what the rules are supposed to be, it puts you in a place, sort of like what Laura was mentioning, that you're on autopilot. But when you're on autopilot, you're not aware, you're not responsible, you become reactive instead of responsive, like we all should be. And the reactive comes from the programming, and the programming is such that, well, we have insurance, we have the government, we have the courts, we have the police. They will sort everything out, which ingrains in our DNA a sort of infantile mentality, which keeps us dumbed down and under their boot. You remove that, and like you've said with that experiment, it shows that you remove that, creates true an environment of true sovereignty, which is accepting responsibility for one's own self and actions, and it fixes all the problems.
Beautiful, beautiful. Laura, got to ask you the question: what would your famous forebear think of? Do you think of the reconstitution of land of the First Nation peoples, the natives being reconsecrated back in their name in that sense, and the takedown of the corporation aspect of government? How do you think he would respond?
To what we're doing and what this represents?
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel him I can feel his joy, and I can feel him kind of steering me and nudging me, and just, I walked in a place one time and nobody knew who I was, and they said Eisenhower walked in the room too. So I know he's like right here, and he's just so, this is what he wants to see. He is right there with us. He's a team member. He never believed in the government structure. He never thought it was all about one leader. And so many of his quotes really represent this, saying the people want peace so bad, the governments had better get out of their way and let them have it. The warning about the military industrial complex, saying that, you know, all this funding and all the military expenses, you know, is robbing people of clothes and food and shelter. I wish I could say that verbatim because it would take too long, that whole speech. But, you know, this is what it's really all about. And I remember, you know, visiting the Gettysburg Farm. I stayed there, and just a lot of the paintings that my family has of that he painted were of Native Americans, of nature, and, you know, just his connection to the galactic realms through Valthor, his connection with the Guardians, his love of Gaia that has been written in books, his love of this planet, and understanding that, you know, he was a timeline guardian like many of us. And being a timeline guardian means that you guard sovereignty. You understand the responsibility connected with what it means to be a sovereign individual, true freedom. And like you were saying before, not this recklessness, not this left hand versus right hand path, left versus right, or however, you know, this conquer and divide has taken place. It's about the integration. And I just feel he's right there with us. He also said many times that, and what was sort of seated in his final speech beyond the warning about the military industrial complex is that it's going to take a knowledgeable and an aware citizenry, because this is really what it's going to take. It's us that are winning the war. We are winning the war from within. And to be doing this in a mindful way, for you to have the kind of calling that you do, Sasha, and you too, Ethan, and so many out there. I mean, Sasha, you're just like blowing my mind. You're just, whoo. It's just like, wow, this is exactly what he wanted to see. He knew that it couldn't be done in his time, and that there would be warriors and star seeds and earth devoted indigenous people coming together. This prophecy of the rainbow warrior tribe, the healing of the root races and the cloister races coming together to rebuild that 12-strand DNA, how that relates to the planetary grid network and these sacred places that gave him peace before he died, that was going to happen. He was told about that, and here we are. And so he sees the team I'm with, he sees the friends that I have, and I feel the elation and also the peace within my own heart that I found you guys, and we're doing this, and he's just cheering us on. He's hanging very close for a lot of reasons, but he never elevated himself above. He's like, I'm right here with all of you because you're the future, you're the leaders, and we all have a different form of leadership, but it's not the governments that are going to do it. It's us.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you for that. That's so precious. And Ethan, I'm sure you feel the same way. Laura, we've got to find that speech. And I think at the Proclamation event on the 21st, let's reread that historic speech. Should we do that?
Oh, that'd be great for sure.
And I know we've got Dr. David Martin coming in, who's one of the best keynote speakers on the face of the earth. He and I have been working together for 16, 17 years. But I'm looking forward to David and the piece he's bringing. Marsha Willardson as well, King Edmund of Hawaii, Chief Phil Lane Jr., and the other hereditary chiefs and elders coming in, and some beaming in from around the world. Look, I want to quickly play, if I may, a very short few minutes piece just to bring folks in a little closer to what we're doing and give Laura, Ethan, and I a potty break. Greetings, friends. And here we are, finally landed in Tanasi, Tennessee, at the New Earth land, and couldn't be happier than to be with Marsha. Ali there, producer Ali, who's producing this cross-country tour right now. Mr. Ethan Lucas, sir. Happy to see you there. Ethan and I will be doing some broadcasting over the next couple of days. And there, of course, we have our groundsman and chief scout, Mark, who's been on site here for some time, actually, for some months. And as you can see behind us, some historic barns. We've got, I think, three of these large historic barns on the New Earth land. As you can see, rolling hills, beautiful, the most beautiful part of the world. Very big open skies. It could not be more perfectly assigned, as far as I'm concerned, for the New Earth project that we're planning here in the heart of Middle America, as we promised we would do late last year, late summer into autumn. We mentioned that we would be doing this. We've done it. Thank you to the golden ticket holders, those of you who are part of the first wave family of New Earth in Middle America. God bless you. We've done it. Here we are. This is ground zero.
You never had this feeling. You shake your pulse, it's not the end, so just keep breathing. You're fading out, getting kinda hard to reach in. Just come with us and we'll show you how we live. Because we are so young. This world makes you feel like we can touch the sun.
I can't tell you, I have felt so much at home. There's such a warm welcome, such friendly people. I met a man last night and he said, oh, there's nothing like East Tennessee on the planet. He's a veteran. He says, I've been all over the world and my heart is in East Tennessee, and I can see why. I've just had such a welcome, such a friendliness everywhere I've gone and everybody I've talked to. So it's just been wonderful.
Yeah, this is ground zero. Behind me, you can see the bonfire. You can see the pyre there behind us. So this is essentially being designated as the ceremonial ground. Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr. will be out here shortly with Marsha, myself, and the crew. We've got a considerable ground force now coming together, and we will be designating the medicine wheel, the ground zero, so to speak, of the ceremonial ground, really more or less here. We have a beautiful little creek, which looks more like a little mini river than a creek. It's got little pebble beaches and what have you. That's behind us. We'll take a walk there in a moment. But this is it. You're looking at the place that we are designating and have designated as ground zero for the emergence of the Rainbow Warrior Tribe. And giggle all you like. You jaded ones, you cynical ones. Let me explain what the Rainbow Warrior Tribe is. It is not a unicorn tribe. It is not people wearing turquoise pigtails. It is not people who are into free love and drugs and hashtag fuck the government. It is not that. The Rainbow Warrior Tribe is the opposite of that. The Rainbow Warrior Tribe is the living principle infused in the hearts and minds of the children of God who are now standing sentinel and saying, we take it from here. We take this world from here. Thank you, government. Thank you, hegemony of the crowns of Europe. Thank you, the Vatican complex and the ghastly Catholic dominion over all corners of the earth for the last 1,500 years. Thank you for the imperial wars and the galactic wars and the conquests and dominion that lies in the echo of history behind us. But you know what? We've arrived here in the 21st century, AD 2025, in the false light Babylonian calendar. We don't even need that calendar moving on from this point. This is ground zero. Midsummer's Day 2025, we have designated under our aegis, under the universal, the eternal sky, as children of God, we have determined that we will be standing sentinel and taking it from here. It's as simple as that.
And not only are we standing on this sacred ground that's soon to be reconsecrated because it's never left its own consecration, but we're standing in the center of the heart and the mind and the knowing of that grandfathered in relationship with the earth, that they know here, the history is here, and we're at a time in the sequence of time, if we have that at all, that where not only is Trump bringing together a council to look at and really examine, are we truly having that religious freedoms and religious liberties that we have in our country? He's put together a council to really review the true nature of the religious freedoms that we're bringing back into our memory. It's our thinking that has created any separation from that.
Beautifully stated, beautifully stated. So there you have it, folks. We'll take a little walk by the creek and film some of the picturesque surroundings.
And I have the paperwork for the original grants in my hand.
Yay. Thank you. Okay, Laura, sorry throwing you in there. Thank you, guys. I confess I just edited that literally. I had about 18 minutes when I arrived at the hotel to literally when we dropped in live, and I had to throw the edit together. So it's not spectacular, but I think it gives a little tone of what we're doing.
It's beautiful.
You edited out the part where you were streaking about the property there.
Oh yeah, that bit. So yeah, that's it, guys. I just wanted, us to come together. Let me just have a look at the comments, because some comments coming in. What I wanted to ask, Ethan, lead this, and Laura, interject. Ethan, how do you believe what we're doing and how we're doing what we're doing moves with the grain of this greater unfoldment, moving against this kind of Sabbatean, globalist, satanic or Saturnian agenda, i.e. what, by best accounts, Trump's administration appear to be seeking to do? Explain, if you will, how we're tethered in a sense, not just ideologically, but we're also going with that move. We're not moving against anything. We're not declaring war against anything. We're not moving against the war powers. We're decommissioning them, in as much as we're saying, No contract. Thank you very much. We're removing ourselves from that contract, and we're removing our attention, our life force, from empowering vicariously these Babylonian games that have perpetuated through history. But speak a bit about how we're moving with this greater force right now and not against it.
Well, I would say first and foremost, what a lot of people miss, and I've done a lot of studying and research into the founding of America, 1776, the founding documents, and everything leading up to that. And what has been missed largely is that I believe, and this may not be a popular belief amongst everybody in this group, but I believe what was originally set up was actually an anarchical form of government. If that makes any sense to anyone who knows, the word anarchy simply means no rulers. I believe that at the time that happened with 1776 and the Constitution, you can split hairs and argue over whether it was good, whether it could have been better, whether we shouldn't even have it at all. But the point remains that I believe the majority of our founders actually sought an anarchical republic, which means that we want to have structure here. The people aren't ready to have no government yet, but we want to make it in a way where everybody is indeed sovereign. They can have that absolute freedom, and things can still be governed in a sense that you can structure things in an orderly fashion as needed. So this idea that we're fighting against government or fighting against even what's already in place with the Constitution, I think is absurd, and it lacks understanding in the fact that I don't think that we need, even at this point, to revisit anything other than just rereading the founding documents and what they actually say, instead of what we have allowed to become common practice amongst lawyers, attorneys, judges, law enforcement officers, politicians. The problem is not really the documents that are there or the structure that's currently there. The problem is the people and the mindset that we have allowed to infiltrate it. And I think you'll find, if you really do a deep dive, you'll find that what we're doing is in exact, precise harmony with what our founders actually paved the way for and set up initially. And I think humanity will eventually move to the point where they will see that they don't need all the road signs. They don't need all the codes and the statutes and the rules and the overlords and things like that. They don't need a babysitter constantly telling them what to do. They don't need Uncle Sam. They don't need all these things. And what our founders set up was an option for those who were responsible and sovereign spiritually and understood that you can operate and do things in the private. It's not going to be in the public. What's in the public is still structured and governed. But until we get to the point where everybody has that sovereign mindset, we can still operate things in the private lawfully and peacefully as we're doing. And I think that people are starting to become aware of that, and that gap is being bridged. And so that's where I see this going. So anyone who thinks that we're anti-government and we're going to like you said, Sasha, raise arms and start an army and start fighting people, that's the last thing that we want, and we don't need that. If people would actually sit down and read the Declaration of Independence, sit down and read the letters of our founding fathers, sit down and read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, start to gain an understanding, an overstanding, and an understanding of the whole thing, bird's eye view collectively, I think you'll find that what we're doing is quite in line, and it's the next obvious step of what our founding fathers started in 1776.
Beautiful. Thank you. Laura, any comments on that?
Yeah, and I just, yes, so well put. And this is such a powerful area. I mean, really, the regenerative potential of this particular area is huge. And it's about not just the eagle and the condor, and north and south, that it's also the masculine, the feminine, the sky, the earth, structure, and spirit. So old Saturn, dark Saturn, is tyranny and control. The government that is becoming is about self-mastery. It's about us being more responsible to ourselves, which is also under the domain of Saturn. So what we're doing is we're walking the inversions into alignment with spirit again, so that the law of structure can hold the multidimensional, the spirit, the integration of polarity, the eagle and the condor, which is symbolic of that. And in doing that, there's no war, there's no battle, there's no hatred, there's no divide and conquer. There's nothing but unconditional love. Because to me, when you're given the chance to really feel sovereignty and feel into your life lessons, go into that dark night of the soul, all you're going to retrieve is a greater love and a greater foundation connected to the Christos Sophia, connected to our true divine parents, not the ones that have taken charge and hooked us into the world that we're in. We're helping to set the fallen free. We're helping to set free the ones that might hate us for doing it, but we'll always love. We're not here to battle. We're here to remind, and remembrance is everything. And with that, comes a lot of compassion for how far people have gone down that road of being hooked into this control matrix. But in setting ourselves free from it, we're inviting it to come with us because it deserves to come home too.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, questions, friends. So is it to be live streamed? The short answer is yes. There's a 3-day retreat event, friends. To those of you who do want to come to that, you have to get tickets for that. So go to newearthhorizon.com/proclamation/ that'll take you to the box office. There's a 3-day mini retreat that we're doing, where we're really seeking to do workshops and explore this dimension of the emergence of the Rainbow Warrior tribe, what it is to become the new human, what it is to reclaim and restore sovereign jurisdiction and standing as a human being, as a child of God. What does it mean to affirm and create and expand your own standing in this world, and to step away from generational mindfuckery and indentureship to false light and to wage slavery and to systemic poisoning, because that ultimately is what the delivery mechanism does. It simply installs, whether it's COVID-19 kind of vax scamming nonsense, it installs stuff into us, mind, body, and soul, when we're not standing in that flame. So the workshop is really focused on that ignition, that flashpoint. How do we awaken ourselves as Lazarus from the deep, from the sleep, from the death? That's going to happen on the 19th, the whole day, very, very intense. And then the 20th, in the evening of the 20th, is going to be the big fire ceremony conducted by Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr. The great Fantuzzi is coming in to perform. We were trying to get Ethan to agree to pull out Donny Osmond's greatest hits and maybe shimmy for us, but he's decided he's not prepared to do that, because he apparently needs to have an orchestra with a score in front of them before he can perform. Fair enough, dude. I'm like that as well, incidentally. I never once in my life, even as a professional musician for a decade, when I was living, breathing, and my whole life was music and performance and moving in those circles, not one time did I jump on a stage like karaoke style, or I couldn't do it that way. It had to be orchestrated stage performances. So
I'm the same. Yeah, those guitars are staying right there, Sasha. I'm not bringing them.
Well, bring one for Fantuzzi, for Christ's sake. Otherwise, it's going to be rather droll. But we're looking for Cherokee drummers and other stuff. Anyone in and around Asheville area, between Asheville and Rogersville, anywhere there between, who want to come and play, please reach out to us. We look forward to that. So that one question came in for everyone saying they love Laura. We get that, friends. Everyone loves Laura. That is just not something that's being disputed here. Someone else saying, I pray all goes well. So many riots occurring in America presently. Well, to some great extent, we're doing what we're doing precisely in order as an antidote, an antidote to the orchestration that's taking place, that dialectic which is going to be playing out in towns and cities across America in the days ahead, by best accounts. Boom, 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 boom. Laura, you should join us on the cruise in Greece. You are such an amazing... Well, actually, Laura is doing a cruise. I think you're doing one next year, aren't you, Laura?
That's right. Yes. End of March, I believe.
Right. And I'm jealous. I mean, I have to say, I'm doing mine in October with Susan Chomsky, and Scott McKay's joining me, and Margot and Nan. We're going to have a great deal of fun. We're doing Egypt, Cyprus, Turkey, and Greece.
Well, I'm going to miss being on a cruise with you. We're going to have to line that up in 2027.
That would be, we'll plan that now. Mark Paletti saying, Wahoo, all there. Shout out to Scott and Sheriff Mac. Indeed, very happy that we'll be together, Sheriff Mac, myself, and Scott for the first time in 4 years or 5 years. Looking forward to that. Sasha, you look so much like Michael. No, Michael Hutchins looked like me. I'm the one who survived. I'm the one who's still standing,
Doing the real work.
Right. Sovereign citizen is an oxymoron, says Lynette Courtney. Well, fair enough to that. By the way, my late stepfather had really good things to say about Eisenhower, who was his commander in World War II. My dad was a flight instructor for Army Air Corps, predecessor to the Air Force. I don't think you mean Army Air Corps. I think you mean Corps. So you don't want to stick you don't want to put the SE on the end there. In any event, all fun and games. Guys, I think that's pretty much it. And we're all set for a countdown to Tennessee. It's the 8th of June now. So we'll be convening in, 12 days, something like that from now. Can't wait to see you, Laura.
I can't wait to see you too, Sasha. And you too, Ethan.
Yes, it'll be great. And by the way, just to bolster and back up what you were saying, I had a thought. I think it rings really true and resonates highly with what we're doing, Laura. They don't, and they never have feared us rebelling. They fear us remembering.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
I like that. I like that very much indeed. Okay, beautiful. Friends, thank you so much. And thank you to the audience for looking in. Nice audience today. And see you all in about 10 days' time. Peace now.
See you.